Do we want the light?
Probably do, actually, yeah.
4 people online.
Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Oh,
You know, you pretend not to like those things, but you like Game of Thrones, you like Harry
I
Potter.
love Harry Potter.
Game of Thrones.
Harry Potter's my favorite movie series.
Um,
Hello, Ryan O'Connell.
the light is so bright. That's what his job is. I always get these curls done here. They always like, what going on with them?
Are they not supposed to?
It's just so curly here, you know. Good morning. Good morning, Brian. It's afternoon at the latest.
Jesus.
At the
Where
earliest.
Where are you living, Alex Arquila?
Morning. It's morning for everyone.
Maybe if Alex is in Australia, it's.
No, it's America probably in the morning.
Oh wait. Oh sorry, I thought you said you.
Where's the West Coast? The East Coast is like 5 or 6 hours behind, so the West Coast is probably like 7 or 8. Yeah. So it's morning for everyone. I wonder if that much hassle for America in general having time zones. Probably not.
Surely not. Eastern Standard Time.
Does this make me look like a golfer or an engineer in Pfizer?
No. It's like
4th year sports science student.
no, too much beard. It's some weird kind of maybe psychologist. It's the beard hair combo with the zip up. That's not a sport. Yeah,
Are you getting psychologist out of it?
Yeah. Someone with notions like.
Tell me about your childhood.
Great, very good childhood. Yeah.
Oh, really? Was it? I'm glad for you. Yeah, I'm glad. I had a great childhood as well, to be fair. Where did you generally start? Like, how was your relationship with your mother? Very argumentative.
Where did we start?
Yeah.
Psychologists, is it?
Yeah.
Psychotherapist.
Are you? What are you like? Are you?
What am I?
Yeah. What are you?
I'm pretty tired.
Who are you?
I'm.
What's your thing like? You know, what do they call
What's
you?
my thing?
If you're a practitioner.
What's my identity?
If you're practicing,
I'm a. What would I be? I don't know. Okay, let's get going. Oh my God, Charlie Stanley said you look like you're into 12-year-olds.
Whoa.
Fucking hell.
Nah, that's way too old.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. You spoke about using ISOs for core work in your recent video. What do you prefer to use for posterior chain work, and how do you progress it? Reps, sets, weights, etc. And how important is it for weightlifters? So posterior chain work it would be just the same as anything else, just core work in their particular nature. Because there's so many different directions your core can particularly move in. You just want to get it from that angle. It seems to work best from there. For your back, usually what we like is any kind of pulling motion, horizontal pulling motion, vertical pulling motions are great if you have access to some way of setting those up. Barbell rows are great, and barbell rows from the hang below the knee are some of the best because you're still getting this isometric position in your back, which is very important for weightlifting. So you have to force yourself to hold this position, and then you are still rowing through full range of motion through the muscles. So you're getting some kind of contraction at the top, especially if you're mid and upper back, which most people have an issue with. So you're getting, we're not a huge fan of lower back training through motion. So
I like isometric back extension holds, like prone back extension holds.
Not really for any particular like injury reason. It's just a more effective way of strengthening your back is if you train it to be more isometric, because most of the things you do, you want it to be isometric rather than in motion. So for when you're using the lower back, those really heavy barbell rows, every single one of my athletes gets barbell rows regardless of what they are doing. Everyone has at least twice a week, to be honest, every single athlete.
Rows are so important.
Weightlifting.
Yeah, just back health.
Strongman.
Strong.
Have some strongmen for some reason.
Broaden strength is a question for you because I don't know who Jacob Maracay.
That was like the really ugly squat jerk.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why would you want someone to touch on his technique?
Could you touch? It's just the way his internal rotation and elbow terminal extension is just kind of fucked up. It really works for him. I mean, he's done like 215 or something as a 96 squat.
No, it's terrible.
It's just strange anatomical positions, as you mentioned. Like, he just genuinely has very weird anatomy. He just has strange elbow extension. That's where it starts and finishes. His shoulder and elbow are just... It's not really his elbow, to be honest. It's his shoulder and how the bones sit in their sockets. It's just fucked up.
Brian Williams says, is there anything left for Lasha to do? Yeah, a 500 kilo total.
Yeah. So what did he total today?
That's 292. Was it 292? But yeah, I think 500 kilo total is probably where Lasha's
492, not 292.
Sorry, yeah, 492. That's
like
probably where Lasha's journey is to at the moment, you know.
I'm not sure if he's a lot more left in that jerk.
Yeah, the jump to the side keeps getting worse.
He jumped to the side and backwards in that jerk, which is like he jumped back a lot. So it's interesting. He definitely has a lot more in the snatch, for sure. He definitely has that 230 in the snatch. So yeah. But the I don't know, is he that 270 or 270 more in the jerk? I think he has 270 for sure in competition.
No, I think 230, 270 is doable for Lasha, assuming everything else stays on the course. Bathrow, I have Bathrow-man 101 says, what do you boys have against foam rolling? Nothing. We just did a members live stream for coaching this morning, told people to do foam rolling. Mm-hmm. Foam rolling is so valuable. Do you know what my issue is? My issue is people who foam roll spend way too long on a foam roller. They think the foam roller is the answer to all their questions. Foam rollers are so valuable. Some myofascial release, some self-massage. If you're doing it in between static stretching for mobility work, very, very useful. What I hate is seeing people coming into the gym and sitting on a foam roller. No warm-up done. No real mobility work that changes any range of motion being done. They're on their phone. The foam roller is just a tool. It's like everything else. It would be like it would be so weird for us to hate bands. Bands are really useful. They're just not. If I saw someone using a band for 40 minutes every day instead of doing something useful, I'd be annoyed at bands too.
Yeah, and then there was this thing where people got really kind of smarmy about using foam rollers and be like, there's no empirical evidence. And
whereas there is, myofascial release has been used for years and years and years and years.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be too... so no, we definitely not against it. So just like Dara says, that's mainly what we have an issue with. It's great for, particularly lats is a huge one. Foam rolling is really good at getting and releasing tension through there.
Franco Di Maria says, my dad has neck, knee, hand...
You missed Tony D.
Oh, did I?
Where's it on yours?
Tony D. Oh, yeah, sorry. On the video weightlifting program, on the proceed to max, how many attempts should be taken to reach max? What is the cutoff after fails? So the cutoff is probably 1 or 2 fails, or else the cutoff is 0 fails. And it really depends on what the attempts look like. If you're warming up and everything is going really well, lifts feel really fast, you get to a PB number or you're around PB numbers and you suddenly just miss a lift. There's no real reason for it. It just happens. Lifts at heavy weights get missed all the time. If that happens, then just go again. Set up, take a minute or 2 rest, go again. In that case, probably 1 or 2 misses in a proceed to maximum session is absolutely a-okay. In the case where you're 1% over your old 1RM or you're 10% over your old 1RM, you've already made a PB in the session, and now you're like hauling on weights to try and get them overhead, hauling on weights to try and make the clean, and you miss a rep that really you probably could have told you were going to miss beforehand, then you should just stop immediately. One miss is too many in that case, you know. You want to leave as much in the tank as you possibly can. Obviously, everyone wants to hit PBs. We want you to hit PBs. But ideal scenario, if you miss a lift, you're like, definitely should have made that. You can definitely have 1 or 2 of those in a session and it's a-okay. If you miss lifts where you know you're at maximum, like the people watching you say, geez, that looked heavy.
Yes.
Then you know it's time to stop. You don't need to go any further.
Just the worst is when people ask, is it a weight heavier than it is? They're like, is that 150? And they're like,
oh, man.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Franco Di Maria is asking, my dad has neck, knee, hand.
Joe, the only thing worse than that,
what?
When someone goes, is that a new PB?
Yeah.
You say, no, that's 70%.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's a heavy one.
Has neck, knee, hand. Where's that gone?
Am I your dad?
Has neck, knee, and hand issues. Any ideas and exercises to give him that he can load for his legs? He's pretty broken. You have eliminated a lot of things there.
Yeah. If it was me, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing you need to look at is like what's important for your dad. That depends on a host of factors like age, his general fitness, and his general health, how severe each of those injuries are. And we're not going to obviously get into the weeds on that. Loading and resistive exercise is obviously very important for a certain group of older people, right? Where sarcopenia, osteoporosis becomes an issue. It's obviously not as much of an issue in males, but it certainly still is an issue in males. In that case, when he can't do anything, basically, like you can't do most gym training, if you wanted to add load, like normal load down through his spine that will help increase bone density, help increase muscle tissue density, cross-sectional area of muscle, then wearing a backpack with some weights and him walking will probably be a very good thing to do. Besides that, you're
up an incline or a hill would be quite useful, or stairs would be quite a good one.
The great thing about going up a hill under load is that there's no falling motion. So like the issue with uneven ground is that there'll be a lot of impact on the joints. Every time he goes up at just a slight slope, like a 10 or 15 degree angle, he's not getting that kind of impact of him plus that extra weight from the backpack coming down on top of him.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, weighted carries I think are the one there. So like obviously it's the same angles for walking. Might be slightly a little bit more up an incline. They'd be the business. Yeah, slight incline like Fitz is saying. A weighted carry, I think that's the one for you.
The other thing I would say, Franco, is like, so if he has all those issues, just start playing around and see what sticks, you know. Like if he can sit up and out of a chair 5 times with 2 minutes rest in between each of those sets of 5, like that's progress. Like just look for your small little wins. It doesn't have to be in a gym. It doesn't have to be with a barbell. Just making small incremental pieces of progress are unbelievably valuable to someone like that.
Yeah, don't assume because now he's broken doesn't mean in 6 months' time with some aggressive rehab that he couldn't get back to a place. You know, I think people just underestimate how resilient your body is and how adaptive it can be. You know, like you literally see people spend 60 years of their life, 50, 60 years of their life, like smoking, drinking, eating like absolute ass, never exercising. And then in like a 3-year turnaround, you can end up with someone who's in a totally different condition. Yeah. You know, your body's massively resilient if you give it the right stimuluses and the right order with the right dilution rate in, and you can be, you know, a whole different person. So don't assume, you know,
it's that dilution rate's the big thing.
Yeah.
Like that's where being great at you, Franco, at coaching your father or helping them through, that's the main thing. Like that dilution rate. How quickly you slowly add pieces.
One thing as well, and it's rare we'd ever say stuff like this, but you know, it could have a very positive effect in his life. Things like BP 157 and TB 400 or whatever, a lot of those have like phenomenal effect on people. Now, I'm definitely not saying he should take them, but I'm just saying those things are out there, and there's a lot of information on the internet. So if you were to look at those and have a chat, you know, if he, you know, tell him what they are, tell him what happens. And if he's like, look, I'm of this age and I'm willing to try it or something like that, that's not, it's worth being aware of it. You know, I'm not saying you should definitely go do it.
No, you should just Google it.
Yeah, and have a look and just see what happens, you know, or just have a talk with it, see what it thinks, you know, just look at your options, you know, it's great. That's one of the best things about the internet, you know, is you could be like, oh, I have this really weird problem. And 20 years ago, you know, 25 years ago, you were literally like, have you ever seen someone's toe look like this?
Yeah.
And you're like, no. And then you're like, fuck, I've used all my avenues.
Yeah.
You know, whereas now you're like, has your toe ever felt like this? And you Google someone and someone in fucking Sri Lanka is like, oh, my toe was like this and this is what I did and it really worked or something. Yeah. You know, that's the great thing about that kind of stuff. So, you know, use that to disposal. Don't go crazy, but have a look for things and just see how you feel about them.
Yeah, I remember as we were growing up, my mother's obviously big into medicine and all that. And she had, I think it was like
Western medicine.
20 volumes of a book called Doctor's Answers. And I remember it would be like, her friends would ring her, being like, could you look this up?
Yeah,
like this strange thing is happening or whatever. Or like my aunts and uncles and like the encyclopedias would come down and she'd be looking through all of it. Now that's like a Google away, you know.
Oh, is that why you're looking up anal discharge? Yes, Carey says, "Hey lads, if I feel good during training, is it okay to do some side delt raises during the powerlifting blocks 1 and 2? I usually finish day 2 in less than 80 minutes. 80 minutes. Yeah, that's okay, I think.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing on
Yeah.
those delt raises? They don't do anything for your delts.
They do. They love them.
No, but I'm saying people do side delt raises because people want cannonball delts.
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely like really help with your upper back. They help with your traps. They help with posture. They help with bar placement during the deadlift, bar placement during the squat. They can even help your your bench press, because if you can retract those shoulder blades quite well during your press, it's obviously a better position. Cannonball delts come from good genetics and
drugs.
Lots of it.
Do you like to have powerlifters do the Olympic lift far away from the meet? Only if requested, but never out of necessity or productivity. It's only if they ever go, can I do these? And you're like, sure, we can do some overhead squats and power cleans. And then thankfully, most of the time, they're like, oh, I don't like these. Can we leave these alone? And you're like, yes, we're just wasting a day where you could do more squatting.
Yeah, I don't like.
No problem with it. It's not negative for sure.
It's not a negative, but it's certainly not positive.
Well, it's not like positive in direction of your powerlifting total.
Yeah, which is what, like, if you're a powerlifter, what's positive for you is squat, bench, and deadlift.
If you were my powerlifting total, right, and I'm here heading that direction, this is where the Olympic lifts are kind of going, you know? Like, they're not heading the wrong direction.
No, I'd say they're staying on your side of the desk, like.
But no, I think they're like a 5%, like, just kind of, they're never going to hit you, but they're like almost going in the right direction.
They'll never get you there. Yeah.
Oh God, no, they'll never get you there. Why does Sarah bully me? Who is that?
That's Dougal.
Oh, Dougal McSpoogle.
Dougal is the new. He could be the new Griff, like.
Oh, what's he do?
Rugby.
Oh,
rugby off season. Okay. John Burkhardt, split snatches, free athletes. No, that's all we need to say. No.
Why does it seem that Eastern Bloc combat sports athletes avoid barbells? Seems like they do a lot of explosive plyometrics. You know, it's not even Eastern Bloc athletes. It's just a lot of combat sports athletes, full stop, seem to avoid barbells, and with a lot of misguided reason. Probably because like Joe Rogan talks about like kettlebell conditioning and stuff.
We actually talked about this in the video yesterday.
So, Michael, instead of us like giving you a synopsis, we have a Wanderlei Silva video coming out where we react to it, and Lucas Ferrargi coming out as well. 2 combat sport things where we're talking about the use of barbells and stuff. So they'll be out, like one will be out Monday and the other will be out later next week. So that'll probably be a better answer for you. But it's definitely a thing, and I would think a misguided thing.
Yeah.
Don't make the mistake of thinking that the Eastern Bloc athletes would anyway interact with the sports system, as the combat sports most of the time are fully separate from them, you know.
Certainly the MMA, like whatever about boxing athletes probably have a bit of interplay, but once it goes to professional, they would have very little interaction with national setups.
It's not even the Olympics anymore.
No. Kind of thick, right? Says, do you need big, strong biceps for boxing, or should I focus on forearm size and grip strength? Currently doing quite a lot of weighted chin-ups with zero bicep isolation work. Seems like quite a lot of boxers have decent biceps, but not involved in much actual training. So the first thing is no. And then the second thing is no as well. So for boxing, like for every other sport, general strength and conditioning preparation will be the best thing. So having a good bench press, good strict press, good bent over row will make good pull-up strength, good weighted pull-up and chin-up strength. That will make up the majority of your upper body strength training. We very, very, very rarely look for isolation work in terms of athletes and their strength and conditioning, because it doesn't ever really tend to be beneficial. Like, so there's obviously certain cases where a powerlifter having a thicker forearm will allow for better stacking during the bench press, and a bigger bicep will allow for better stacking during the bench press. Those things really aren't, those things don't transfer to more athletic sports. Like, there are certainly some exceptions. Obviously, in a lot of the impact sports, we'll do specific neck hypertrophy work to make sure we're more resilient against head injuries. But if you took it as a rule of thumb, or if you took our kind of rule of thumb towards sports strength and conditioning, you don't need isolation work. You should be doing general strength and conditioning work. And you certainly don't need big arms, and you certainly don't need big forearms for boxing, because what you want to imagine is there's 2 elements come with like a punch. The first is the speed that's being delivered on that punch, and the second thing is the mass that's being delivered in that punch. So obviously someone with big weighty hands will hurt you a lot more than if someone with tiny little John hands hit you in the face. But if that big heavy hand or big heavy forearm is transferring the punch through, it's very likely to be much slower, and slow punches land a lot less often than fast punches do. So there's definitely a trade-off there in terms of lower limb mass and punching efficiency.
What I was laughing at was someone asked something there later. I've just happened to see the question where they said they closed on the pubs, but he said, "Is there any gargling?" And I was like, "I don't know what that means. It's obviously some Dutch slang." So these are the options. We generally can't read these out. It's from Urban Dictionary. So that's one. And this is the other one. I call them, just define what you mean by gargling anyway, because Urban Dictionary is giving some definitely not what you mean answers.
Max Reed said, "Let's band together and get them to send to Sika Labour Camp for making us do reverse lunges."
Can't send us to camps for running, like.
Lads, we own the camps.
John Bocard says, plates with bolts or bolts in or out? Oh, definitely a bolts in, because those bolts are encountered in incorporated into the total weight of the plate. So
no, he's talking about when you put the plate on the bar. Do you have the bolt faced in or do you have the flat face?
Oh, I thought you meant leaving him.
I like bolts faced in.
Weird.
But in the same way where if I'm using old plates, old cast iron plates, I like writing faced in and flat side on the outside, because that's what's correct. Okay, kind of thick then asks again, can I run your 2-day-a-week squat program alongside other sports training and upper body day? Yeah, you certainly can. That's what it's written for. It's written to be run concurrently with other training programs, so that we absolutely a-okay.
Gotta be that guy and ask about the march again. I swear to God, we have everything but one order of the march and we're waiting on it. I'm going to check the tracking order right now.
Go for checking the tracking.
I'm going to check the order right now on the last. So this is the pants and the zip up tops. So what held the whole thing up was basically the pants had to be designed from scratch, essentially, just stitching and stuff, materials. And then we got the first one, and obviously the first one was going to be right. We were very optimistic. And we just actually had one issue with the first one with some of the stitching. So we had to get another sample, and then we had to get them to make it again. And here we be. So we're just waiting for that. And obviously Christmas time when it was sent.
Yeah.
You know, it's
we'll tell you exactly where the order is right now once Garth
I bet there's like not an accurate place of where it is.
Yeah, it will just be on the way.
I bet it's just like shipped,
processing.
On the way. It literally says on the way, clearance in progress.
Clearance in Ireland or clearance in?
Literally, it means it's not even saying like this is.
Oh my God.
Oh, hang on. Oh, it's in. Oh my God, what?
Oh, go up to the top there.
Oh yeah. Your parcel is pending release from a government agency. When they release it,
oh my God,
on its way.
So they're in country, guys.
Oh my God, this could take a month. Like this could literally take a month to be released. What's that now?
Okay. OM says, how much heavier would you estimate someone could deadlift on a trap bar versus a straight bar? So this is very, very simple.
Like 20%, 30% probably.
It really depends on what kind of person you are. So like Garth is phenomenally good at squatting, right? I would estimate Garth's 1RM to be definitely 20% at least higher on a trap bar than it would be on a standard bar if he's allowed to use straps. I know I've done 285 or something with a 250 deadlift. So whatever that is, I don't know. It's fairly, and I'm terrible. Like I'd be a much better deadlifter than I would be a squatter. So I would just say,
what's that say? Oh yeah.
So I would just say that it really depends. Like if you're somebody who's terrible at squatting and better at deadlifting, then it's obviously going to be much closer. If you've someone with a very good squat, very upright squat, a lot of leg strength, then they can do a lot.
I have a question for you.
Trap bars are cheating.
Have you ever seen someone max trap bar deadlift without straps on? You haven't. Never happened. It's never happened.
Why would it happen?
Look out for it. It's never happens. It's not real, just like UFOs.
Just as we're saying it, there's 81 people on here currently live, and we only have 34 likes. So
crazy.
Gareth is going to blabble away at you there for the next few seconds, and if you could just keep hitting that like button, we'll get back to answering questions.
What are you going to do?
I'm going finding my 280 deadlift.
Oh, yeah. Any suggestions on how to continue weightlifting if my gym shuts down for COVID? So unfortunately, due to the nature of weightlifting needs to be done to continue weightlifting. So in terms of training and programming, unless you have a barbell and plates and a squat rack, you can't continue weightlifting. You can stay in general physical capacity or general physical shape by just doing lots of aerobic work and work capacity stuff, and that would be certainly way better than nothing. And if you go to the website, there's two free blocks of training from home. Suggestions overall: not incorporating the program, buy barbell and plates and a squat rack and have somewhere to do it. That's the best suggestion. I don't know if that's possible for you. If you wanted to make it work, you'll figure out a way. Beg, borrow, or steal.
Yeah, barbell and plates. Like
that will go a huge way.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest with you, if you could either snatch and clean jerk only or just find somewhere to squat only, the squatting and deadlifting will be more important for most people. It'd be more useful if you could figure out a way of just doing squats. That would be more useful. I've seen it with a lot of our lifters where they got shut down, they got to train from home, and they did the snatches and clean and jerk stuff, but they were so in general I don't want to say weak, but weak in terms of absolute strength that like it was just slowly, as the deterioration happened, it just negatively affected lifts all the way. Whereas that skill component to lifting will come back pretty fast, you know. Whereas the strength stuff does come back fast, but it's better if you could just keep that and the skill stuff will come back. So best option is to be able to keep squatting and deadlifting and then don't worry so much. So if you have an option of like not training or maybe doing some squats and deadlifts, I would definitely, even if you could squat and deadlift once a week, fuck it, twice a week would be perfect. But that would be the big thing.
I would weigh on this, but I wasn't listening to what Gareth said, and I'm afraid I'll say the same thing.
Highest frequency of heavy 110% low volume snatch pulls during various phases of training? 0. So
0%.
Unless you,
sorry. In certain cases, it could be highest frequency will be once per week for 4 weeks in a row to fix something.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing low volume snatch pulls at really heavy weights.
So what's funny about this is, so a lot of my athletes will actually have heavier snatch pulls than their snatch, but it's because their snatch numbers are beginner numbers, you know, and they're doing deadlifts with literally like they're doing deadlifts at 80 kilos. If, for example, you were someone who was snatching 120, you wouldn't be doing like 130 kilo snatch grip deadlifts that often, you know. So a lot of my athletes will get heavier ones, but it's because it's a reflection of their numbers. So if you are a less good lifter and your numbers are lower, you'll certainly have heavier ones. But in general, that's what the intention that you'll probably hit that 110% will probably be your 100% within the next 6 weeks, you know. So it's kind of a nuanced position. But if you are a more advanced lifter, it's very rare. Most of them will be like 100% or less, probably. I hope you have a great Christmas. Thanks, Rory. Rory? Ruaidhre? That's it, Rory.
Rory, yeah.
Rory.
Rory says...
No, you skipped Patrick. Will ballistic movements using leg weights help increase end range, flexibility, and mobility? Probably, but you're also probably putting your tendons at risk of inflammation and damage. So I would say
there's better ways to get.
For sure. Yeah, I wouldn't be... It'll definitely do what you want it to do, but I don't think it would be intelligent injury-wise. Same way, for example, if you did really heavy weighted back squat jumps to stretch your lower back. Like, it'll probably stretch your lower back, but it wouldn't be the best thing for your lower back, I'd imagine.
Okay. Rory OC says, relatively new to powerlifting, I've been using...
We keep seeing this Ensuns thing. People keep mentioning
I have no idea what that is.
I refuse to look as a...
I have no idea.
I've been making great progress.
Indicators change up program.
If you're making progress, don't change nothing.
Don't change anything.
Yeah, definitely. If you're making good progress, definitely don't change. There's no reason not to. No reason to.
A name I can't pronounce says, can amateur lifters increase total by focusing on classic lifts and squats without much accessory exercises, say 70 to 80% of their workout session consisting of snatch, clean, jerk, and the variations? Yeah, they can. Is it the best tool? Is it the best way? Completely doing no accessory work? No. But it will make progress to a certain extent. It's the sledgehammer versus the scalpel thing, you know. Is there a more intelligent way of doing something? Yes. Will that way of doing something work for an extent? Yes.
Good morning from the USA, or the US, lads. This occurred to me after seeing some recent videos of Mohammed Rehab. Are elite weightlifters approaching the physical limit of human reaction time coordination? So just how much more quickly can weightlifters get under the bar or drive up from the bottom position?
Definitely. Go on.
I'm not educated enough on the science of weightlifting. Ask this in a more eloquent manner. I'm asked more eloquently.
Definitely not in terms of reaction time. Like, reaction time is to an external stimulus. So reaction times would be something like a ball coming at you, a punch coming at you, a starting gun in a sprint. In terms of what those limits of human physiology are in reaction times in sprinting, they're right there now. So what they can do is they can say your auditory canal is a certain length. They know that the speed of hearing a noise takes a certain amount of time to process to your brain. That takes a certain amount of time to process to a motor, like through your motor cortex down to a motor unit and make a contraction, right? So if this is my starter gun and I fire bang, and Owen is in a block that has a sensor on it, which all sprinting blocks will do, you'll see that they'll give a false start even if Owen started after the gun went off. And this is fractions of a second, right? So gun goes off, bang, you'll see smoke out of the barrel or whatever. It might be an electric gun. Gun goes off. Owen leaves his block after the gun has gone off, and Owen will get counted for a false start. And as you might have seen, the Olympics immediately disqualified from the race due to having a false start, right? It doesn't matter that the gun had gone off. They've now measured physiologically what the fastest reaction time can be, what a human can do. And that reaction time has been accounted for in false start stuff. So that's what the limit of human reaction time is. Unbelievably fast. You can definitely train it to get better. You can definitely take substances to make it better. But in weightlifting, reaction time isn't a variable that's readily manipulated or kind of important to be manipulated.
I just see Colm said it's Dublin slang for drinking, but of course
There'll be plenty drinking.
Of course.
The gargle.
Of course, Dublin people talk about gargling people's balls. Like,
hey,
classic. Like,
there he is.
He said cultures are useless, but like, it's not our fault. Like,
Jesus, we're in the big city here, Colm.
Yeah, the real capital,
the People's Republic.
What do we think of IWF World? Some shockers. So the super heavyweight class was a phenomenal class. Like, there was very competitive lifts, as in terms of everyone's total was going up, but obviously wasn't competitive because Lasha was going to win always. But the rest wasn't great, to be honest. There was nothing really particularly phenomenal going on. So in general, like the year after the Olympics, the Worlds is not great. So it is not fair to expect much the year of the Olympics for a Worlds. It's never happened before, so it's not really it shouldn't be much of a shock to see that it wasn't great. Basically, see what next year will be like. Because in general, the year after the Olympics is always kind of weaker. Yeah. So it's not great. Lash's 225 was amazing, of course, and the 267. And the problem with him is it's too amazing for him. It's too...
People don't pay any attention to the fact that the strongest weightlifter to ever have lived is lifting at Worlds right now.
You know, it's funny, like, there was 3,000 people watching the super heavyweights on the IDLF live stream. I think it was the only place it was being streamed. Like, imagine if there was only 3,000 people watching the F1 or the Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
Or the World Cup final, or the Rugby World Cup final.
And, imagine if the best F1 driver to ever have raced was racing. Like,
yeah.
And 3,000 people watched it. We missed rack, bicep, curl athlete, how to improve ankle mobility fast. Doesn't happen.
No way. It just does not.
You can cut your foot off. That's about as fast as you'll.
Ankle mobility is not.
Ankle mobility is so slow.
Yeah.
Take 10,000 steps a day. Every time you take a step, you're doing a full calf raise with your entire body weight on it. If you jump down the stairs, you have 5, 6, 10 times your body weight going down through your Achilles. You don't improve it fast.
As a general rule, how should you deal with getting mildly sick in the middle of a training block, losing 2-3 sessions due to a stomach flu? I think I remember this happening to Hayden. In general, it's best just to restart the block and a little bit lower. So maybe a week of just general training. So it's like just light snatch, clean, jerk stuff. and then restart the block again, and then if needed, reduce the weights. Unfortunately, it feels really unfair, and you feel like, oh, I should just be able to go back in. But unfortunately,
It's not how it works.
It's not how it works.
If you were sick, or sorry, if you weren't overly sick and you just ended up missing some sessions, I like people to regress the same amount of time they had off. So if you had a week off, you regress a full week. But that's assuming you weren't sick. The problem with being sick is you're sick and you lose physical prowess while sick. You mightn't even know you're losing it, but you do. Okay.
Franco said never thought of a backpack.
Yeah. Backpack is great. Nicholas Scarvellis.
Wondering if you guys would have any perspective on throwing sports using heavier and lighter than competition implements during training. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So obviously it's just a perspective, because we don't know sport specific stuff, because obviously there's too many sports. But lighter stuff would probably make sense. It would probably be better to use lighter implements to train the speed. So you will. The good thing about speed and the bad thing about speed is we don't get any super compensation. We don't get any overspeed training from using heavier stuff. We don't super compensate, and our body goes, geez, we tried to throw that fast, so this time we're going to throw it faster. The good thing, though, is that you can clock back speed, or your body will, can modulate speed backwards. You can go a little bit slower from training. So using lighter sports implements definitely seems like it could make sense. Now, whether that would make sense in practicality in throwing is another thing. We wouldn't know, but it definitely seems like it could definitely work. So like that would be somewhat facilitative loading. You'd definitely be throwing that faster because it would be lighter. The thing with using heavier as well is the thing with speed, like, is if you throw slow, if you do motion slow, then all your training is slow. So there's no realm where you're like strength training, you break it down and build it back up. You don't break down speed, you just break it down and it stays slow, and you reinforce the slow movement. So using heavier competition weights definitely wouldn't make sense. And all of the data shows that. All of the data is heavily in favor of that. Reading one recently on weighted baseball bats, weighted implements, was heavily negative towards baseball players, like overweighted bats isn't good. Lighter, I think, could work, but I would obviously be someone could come along and be like, no, I coached shorts 20 years and they used a lighter one and it fucked up everything. So if you were to use one or the other, I would definitely be going for lighter. I could definitely see it working. I could definitely see the heavier fucking everything up. So I would say for sure don't use heavier stuff. Definitely. The problem with speed as well is it's hard to know if you fuck it up a little bit. Like, will it come back? Probably. But do you want to risk your speed? No,
probably. But there's a possibility it won't.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck up your speed. Like,
fuck no. Okay. Alex Arquila, how many times should a weightlifter peak for a meet? Really depends on the level of the weightlifter. If you're talking about a good international kind of competitive weightlifter, they're probably peaking 3 times a year. Non-professional, international, like national level, they're probably 3 times a year. For beginners, I think like every 8 weeks. Every 8 weeks, just get them competition, mock competition, whatever. Get them good at competing. There's a load of people out there who do weightlifting. There's very few people who do weightlifting and are good at weightlifting competitions, because a lot of people have this thing of like, oh, I don't want to do competition and only do this weight again, or I don't want to go to a competition and be 5th again, being good at competition is very, 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 very different from being good at weightlifting. And that's what you kind of have to decide for yourself. Do you want to be a good competitive weightlifter, or do you just want to be good at lifting weights? And either of those things are fine, but it's kind of up to you. People just think immediately that if I'm better at lifting weights, I'm going to be a better competitor, and that's not how it works.
Look at, for example, the Chinese team. Anyway, I think I've been going through something similar to boys.
Wait,
I missed them. Sorry, boys. I've got a CPET test. So it's a cardiopulmonary something test, exercise test.
It's the
VO2 max,
like heart health test.
Want to know how far? No, I'm deep into a strength phase. I want to know how far I should start. I assume this is for a job or some kind of training, because there's no way he'd be trying to cheat his own test. Surely not.
If it's for health.
Maybe don't.
Yeah, if it's for health, don't start artificially changing things. Like, you should just get that test as soon as you can.
But if it's for a job thing, no, just
No.
no. Yeah, literally.
To be honest, if it's anything now, because if it's for your health, they're sending you for a reason, and you should probably be a bit fitter.
Yeah, well, I suppose. Yeah, it's the weird thing about that is though, you want realistic data from a medical point of view, so it might be not great to start it now. Well, not great in terms of getting a realistic answer. If it's for a job, just that dilution rate, so like starting slowly and then work it up a bit. If it's similar to VO2 tests,
no, it's like a step.
Oh no, it is. Yeah, cardiopulmonary exercise test also versus VO2 test, so it is VO2. So
VO2 max.
So literally.
Start right now.
Yeah, just start right now. I would start with, instead of doing any long conditioning pieces right now, right? Because if you've never done any conditioning stuff and you go sit on a bike for an hour and a half and do like very slowly catchy monkey, it might not actually be great. So what you might be a better option is go get an assault bike or a normal bike, right? And literally just 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes, do like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off at like 75% of like your max effort, figure out watts or heart rate, because that'll be less invasive, that'll be less like insidious to your strength work. So this will be 5 quick minutes. Try to do that like twice a week, and then try increase the intensities of that. And then after like 5 weeks, maybe you could be like, okay, I could probably afford like a longer steady state conditioning with a little bit higher intensity for a while. But if you jump into like 25-minute long intense endurance, kind of not intense endurance thing, but endurance circuits, like you'll just really fuck up your strength training. Whereas like it'll feel like it'll fuck you up the 5 minutes on the assault bike, but in reality 2 hours later you'll be like, oh, I'm actually not too bad. Maybe the first day you'll be fucked, but after that you should be okay. Or take EPO. I don't know. Who am I to know? Who knows? She's fucked. Don't take EPO.
Colin says, how are you from the Netherlands? We closed down the pubs at 5.
This I was talking about.
Right. Anyway, any thoughts on gargling and athletic performance? So going drinking and training at the same time. Is there a lesser evil out there, vodka and water? So first thing is, you need to just understand that it's going to negatively affect.
I think it's like it's a dose respondent. Like more drink, worse performance. More drink, worse performance, and eventually become an alcoholic at some point up that scale.
It's like the heavier the session, the heavier the downfall will be the next day. One thing I will say is like a lot of really, and I'm not putting anyone in this category, but a lot of really great athletes stop playing sports because sport ruins their life, because they don't go drinking or they don't go out with their friends.
Or gives them weird issues.
So I think it's certainly something like coming up around Christmas. Obviously, everyone's going out, everyone's having a good time, or a lot of people are. I wouldn't avoid it. Like if you're an athlete, you're kind of really, really entrenched in being an athlete, but you have to just take these things that come along. Like going out drinking is bad for an accountant. It just happens to be very, very bad for an athlete. So I will say there's things you can do. Make sure you're well prepped. So like have good food the day you're going drinking. Make sure you hydrate well. Make sure you take painkillers early and what painkillers you need the next day. So like nothing will be worse than that full day of being hungover, having to eat shit food, having to not get anything done. Then your spouse is annoyed at you because you lay in bed all day. Like be proactive in fixing yourself the next day, and that's pretty good. In terms of like vodka and water, if that's better than anything else, just the more drunk you are, the more difficult it's going to be the next day. So if like 2 cocktails gets you messed up, then it doesn't matter if it's 2 cocktails or if it's a 70 cl of whiskey or if it's 20 pints of stout. You're going to be messed up the next day, and it is, as Garth said, more is worser.
More is worse for it. It's not like drugs. More is better. It's the opposite. And like recreational drugs, it's all not great.
But like make sure you just understand it's not great and still do it anyway. Like
I bet ketamine wouldn't be great as well.
I would say any type of recreational drug wouldn't be great for sports.
That's just like your opinion, man. I've been going through something similar to Garth's knee pain mentioned a while back. How things been, Garth? Hamstring exercise recommendations. My knee pain. If I do what I'm supposed to do, it will stay away. If I do what I'm supposed to do and keep training, it's fine. They are the things that cause it. Training is the thing that causes my knee pain, and I can stay on top of it. But if I stop training and stop doing the stuff, it's kind of okay. If I start training again and I don't do my stuff, it's not okay. And so that's fine. That makes sense. My body isn't going to change. And I have preventative measures. My right knee is completely pain-free, and my left knee is like, it's been kind of at me a little bit lately because I haven't been training that much. One thing I didn't address properly, and I'm just being a lazy asshole about it, is one of my ankles is a little bit tighter than the other one. And I just neglected a little bit and it got a bit tighter. And I've been paying attention again recently in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it's already been helping my knee pain, but I just need to pay attention to it. No, that was in the YouTube one in the comments. The one you're looking for.
That's
no,
what I'm here.
No, not that one. The what did we ask people to put the questions? Ask
Here.
questions. No, that was the video we did the other day. That's the one we did with the fucking where we asked people to ask questions below. We respond to the comments.
Right.
But yeah, my knee pain is, if I address the issues, the knee pain will go away. My right knee is fully clear of knee pain. My ankles don't hurt anymore when I'm squatting, which is great. My wrists are a lot better. My elbows and shoulders are a lot better. Obviously, because I've used to training load a lot. But the knee pain, you can fix it if it's similar, if you have those issues. The amount of my athletes where they're like, my knees are sore. And then we're like, can we see your internal or external rotation? And they do it. And then there's this like no internal rotation or no external rotation. And you're like, okay, maybe we should start from there. So there is answers, and you can figure it out.
Okay. Harry March says, what percentage rep range would you program for clean pulls over a 4-week block? I don't use clean pulls a lot, to be honest.
I don't either. Yeah, just deadlifts.
Yeah, that's a really like small part of it. Like it'd be like asking how many bottoms up kettle presses I would give to someone.
Kettle breasts.
Okay.
What was that? So it was about how much money you can make and stuff.
Yeah. So
we'll definitely get to this. We haven't recorded these yet. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
this gentleman's name is, but
we'll get to it.
Oh, he has to go anyway, so it's fine.
We'll do a video on that next week, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay.
The March didn't come out yet.
IC Prototype says, why did you guys start Seeker Strength?
Why did we start Seeker Strength?
I don't know. It's like we didn't have enough other things going on in our life.
I don't know why we started something, but we both wanted to.
Yeah.
I can remember when we talked about something. You found your old bow and arrow for some reason. And then I remember we were talking about that, and then you were selling the business.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd love to do something. And you were like, I'd love to do something too.
Yeah.
And here we are like fucking 5 years later. I don't know why.
Puckin A. Right Spud said, Owen's perspective of being ginger, how much discrimination have you faced? What's it like not having a soul? That's a bit.
That's so aggressive.
So aggressive. Eugene Poon said, can Owen both do a platform tutorial? Do you know what? We built Owen's platform 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We videoed it, and camera ran out of battery halfway through.
Geez, that was a hectic build. That was the end of the world. Like, that was the week before everything shut down.
Was it?
Remember, it was like 2 or 3 days before everything was shutting down.
Yeah.
So we're like, we got to build a real platform. And then it was literally like...
We built a great platform too.
Midnight trailer, just like...
Yeah.
Served well.
Okay. Eugene Poon said, what nuances like sterling versus plywood to glue or not to glue? Okay. I'm going to give you the quick cliff notes here, Eugene. So the first thing you need to think about is, what's your relative budget for this? I'd say if you're going super, super cheap, this probably isn't the way. But if you're on a platform that's going to last somewhere between 5 and 10 years, this is the best way you're going to do. So you start off with 4x8 sheets or 1.2 meter by 2.4 meter sheets. You just get normal 1/2-inch MDF wood, right? So medium density fiberboard. You start with 2 sheets like this. Then you go 2 sheets like this. That's 4 sheets of MDF. depending on where you are and what time and what's happening in the world, those sheets will vary from maybe 25 euros to 50 euro a sheet. 4 of those, 2 going this way, 2 going that way. Then you get 1 sheet or 2 sheets of hard face plywood, and that forms the middle or the center of your platform. So you now have 2 sheets of MDF, 2 sheets of MDF, 1 sheet of hard face ply. The thickness of that hard face ply is important, and only important as the is regulated by the thickness of the rubber matting you have on each side. If you have 18 mil rubber matting and you run that as a strip on each side, then you get an 18 mil thick piece of hard face ply. You screw those 2 sheets of MDF to those 2 sheets of MDF. You screw the sheet of hard face ply to that, and then you screw your rubber mat down to the sheets of MDF on the outside, and you'll be good to go.
This is what? It's the strangest question. So just way down the chat. Way down the. I don't. Anyway.
Okay.
Is there push press the combat sports program? Yes, there is.
Urban Dictionary. Can you explain the vertical diet?
Stan has a lot of good videos about that.
I would explain it in a few words of the food you need to eat that's very easily digestible and easily eating more of it.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good. Thanks for answering both my questions. Love the channel. Direction take it. No problem. Kind of thick.
Jamil Corara says, is terkestrone about as effective as creatine? I don't know. I don't even know if terkestrone exists.
Yeah. Is it even real?
Is it even real? If you can't buy it?
I met someone in the gym and they were like, oh, like watch YouTube or whatever, but they said they tried terkestrone and they got like acne like 2 days later or whatever. So is that an indication of anabolic effectiveness? Probably. Guido says, oh, I named my D&D character after you. He's a halfling.
What's D&D?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Christ.
Are you still doing the Seek Sense teas? Yes, we are.
There's a big box of them right in there.
Oh, baby, are we doing them?
Right there. My God, are we doing them?
We select some questions?
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for that show again where we pick some random questions. Would you be open to collaborating with Dane Miller of Garrett Strength on a video podcast? Would be cool to hear back and forth. Sure. I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched any of his videos. I know who he is, and I've seen his stuff on YouTube. But to be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of S&C stuff or other. I watch Seb. I watch Zach.
Yeah.
Training hall videos for other people don't count. And to be honest, that's about the only YouTube stuff I watch related to this stuff. Sometimes if a really interesting topic from Renaissance periodization comes up, I'll definitely watch that. Like if Mike's talking about something interesting, I'll have a quick gawk. I don't think there's anyone else though. I don't watch anyone else.
I watch project stuff.
Yeah, but he's not on YouTube.
No.
Am I still coffee free? Yes, I am. My shed, I will be doing a gym build, but due to the state of affairs in the current world, that'll be on the hiatus. That'll be a few months before that's done. Hopefully. No, I don't know if anyone has done the RTA 3 times fully.
No, so Max, we've had people do it.
Have you 3 times?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Definitely 2 times.
100% 3. We got an email from a guy a few weeks ago.
Did it work again?
Mm-hmm.
Mad. That's crazy.
Yeah, like 20 kilos, 15 kilos, 10 kilos.
What percentage of your deficit snatch, grip, horse deadlift will carry over to your deadlift? Snatch, grip, horse deadlifts are difficult.
Aaron says lay off the Coke fits. It's actually Coke Zero. So we're all G here.
Lash's performance. I will be doing a video with Zach and Seb on Monday, and then I assume Zach will have that on maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, recapping Worlds.
Okay. GB Unleashed says, I feel like there's a difference between a press out and a little elbow wobble from grinding a lift. Those little wavers in the elbow aren't always because the elbow unlocks. I think the press out stuff is tripe, particularly the wobbly elbows on the snatch. If you get it overhead and it doesn't come back down and hit you on the head, I think you should be A-OK, good to go.
Yeah, I don't see like, I get the speed of the initial lockout, right? I get that there has to be an immediate press out because you don't want people like pressing jerks and stuff. But the re-wobble and stuff, I ain't here for it.
Would you have given Lash's 267 clean and jerk as a judge today?
Absolutely.
100% every day of the week.
Yeah, you see the judges immediately gave it to them. What's the math tone? The fuck is that?
What?
Maximum amount of math tone. I don't know who that is. Like, he looks like someone who will talk about running.
Oh my god, yeah. These kind of questions. So this is Joseph Scott Jackson, the Gurf is talking about. What's the maximum amount of mathadone method running you could do while following an Olympic weightlifting program without affecting gains? 0. So there's no, everything is a trade-off. Everything you do in training is a compromise to something else, or taking from something else, or adding into something else. So it's in the same way where you say, how many sit-ups can I do a day before it will affect my weightlifting, or it will make me more tired, or whatever. 1 a day is enough. If you're at the point in training where you're maximizing weightlifting and prioritizing weightlifting as much as you possibly can, any amount of auxiliary training is going to have an effect. Now, it's very, very unlikely that you're at that point of training, and you probably shouldn't be at that point of training anyway. But you just have to understand that everything you add into training is going to have an effect. You don't know how much of an effect. You really can't predict how much of an effect until you do it. But you have to be very, very, very just kind of honest and open with yourself that if I'm doing something else, I'm negatively affecting weightlifting.
Can you explain interference principle in strength and endurance? So for a while, people were like, this might not be a thing. And if any of them ever trained, they'd have been like, oh shit, this is a thing. So it's funny in like academia and stuff. People are trying to say the interference principle isn't a thing. It's most certainly a thing. So the interference principle is essentially that you have certain attributes and strength and endurance in their extremes pull in totally opposite directions of the physical adaptation process. You also have like a limited amount of adaptation energy, some amount of resources dedicated towards adapting to a particular stimulus after a particular type of training. So if you do strength training, your energy goes this way. If you do endurance training, your energy goes back this way. And there's a limited amount of this. There's also like muscle fiber changes, motor unit recruitment, motor unit firing, motor unit thresholds, like fiber recruitment thresholds, fiber motor or fiber unit contraction rates per second. All of these are negatively or positively affected depending on which way you want it to go. The interference principle is basically the stronger more effort you put into something, the less adaptation you have to go in the other direction. And it pulls. It's like a fucking tug of war. Like it will move back and forward. It's not currently static depending on what you're doing. And the longer you do something, obviously, the further in one direction you go, the further. Where's the helicopter? The further in one direction you go, for the longer, the more
coming for us.
Water outside in a helicopter. The further in one direction you go, and the longer you go, the longer it'll take to go back in the other direction, and eventually it might not be permanent, but semi-permanent or semi-solidified. It's genuinely, people didn't think this was a thing for a while, which is and not that long ago, like 10 years ago, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, are we?
Yeah. There was a good question here. Oh yeah. This is just funny, right? But I want to bring it up because it brings up a good point. So Ben Williams, and I think Ben Williams is a powerlifter, he said, had to run to catch the bus today, even sprinting at the end, got on the bus and nearly threw up after a quick breakfast. It was an awful experience. Are you guys ever exposed to situations like that? Yeah, and his next comment is gym bro nightmares. This brings up a kind of more holistic point that I would say for a lot of people watching is a lot of us involved in strength sports have terrible levels of general physical preparedness. Like if you can't sprint to catch a bus, jog for a kilometer because you need to get home a small bit faster.
Sprint back to the Jeep at night.
Yeah, like if you can't do that and not be recovered quite quickly, not be like really fucked for ages afterwards, you should be looking at that as being like in some way negative. Now, It might be because you're eating loads of food to gain weight for powerlifting, weightlifting, gym broing in general, whatever. But I think you should have an overall level of quite good physical fitness and be strong.
This is okay in like the last like 3 weeks of a powerlifting prep phase or weightlifting.
Your last month.
But anytime 80% of the training block, you should be able to run a catch the bus and not vomit.
Do we get exposed to situations like that? Yeah.
Unfortunately.
A lot. Yeah. Be very, 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 very out of breath a few times a week.
Just on the hour mark. We have to go because the helicopter is coming closer.
Give a massage gun him away.
No, don't attract them. Just turn off the lights. Thanks for all the questions, guys. We always appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week for sure, but it'll probably be earlier in the week because is today week like Christmas Day or something? Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
So we might see you on Christmas Eve for a Christmas Eve special.
The eve of Christmas Eve
special. So we'll see you.
That might be quite early in the morning for those of you in the
West.
Out west.
Yeah. A video coming. I'm going to finish editing now, where it's the transition from the first pull to the second pull. So a carry on from last week. So stay tuned for that. And I'm using some of the footage of Lashley snatching 225 because I want to pick up on the algorithm.
Somebody just asked at the very end there, why can't we all be like Ross Edgley and somehow do everything at a high level? Because none of you'll take it off gear. Thanks, guys.
Hey, bye.